postmodern philosophy agenda. What is postmodern philosophy all about? What prominent of postmodern philosophy? What role aims of postmodern philosophy in education? So, one of the most famous quotes when it comes to postmodern philosophy is there are no hard distinctions between what is real and what is unreal, nor between what is true and what is false. A thing is not necessarily either true or false, it can be both true and false. So, this quote emphasizes that not all things can be both to the same person and to different individuals, but certain things can. So when it comes viewed from a different angle, what is true to one person may be false to another. For example, one can assert that water is both cool and wet, but this is only true if the water is actually chilly. Otherwise, the assertion is both partially true and untrue. Real and unreal are both based on how you perceive them. Many people mistakenly believe many things to be true that are false because it is beyond their comprehension or because they have been taught throughout their life that such things are not real.
What is postmodern philosophy? Postmodern philosophy is a philosophical movement that arose in the second half of the 20th century as a critical response to assumptions allegedly present in modernist philosophical ideas regarding culture, identity, history, or language that were developed during the 18th century Enlightenment. Postmodernist thinkers developed concepts like difference, repetition, trace, and hyperreality to subvert grand narratives, univocity of being, and epistemic certainty. When we say hyperreality to subvert, hyperreality means an inability of consciousness to distinguish reality from assimilation of reality. And univocity of being is the idea that words describing the properties of God mean the same thing as when they apply to people or things. And the epistemic certainty is the belief of which a person has no rational grounds for doubting. Postmodern philosophy questions the importance of power, relationships, personalization, and discourse in the construction of truth and worldviews. Many postmodernists appear to deny that an objective reality rather exists and appear to deny that there are objective moral values. As a philosophy, postmodernism rejects concepts of rationality, objectivity, and universal truth. Instead, it emphasizes the diversity of human experience and multiplicity of perspectives. One of the central ideas in postmodern philosophy is the no objective truth, which means we cannot achieve truth in a rational way but labaw pa sa rational na aspect na to as a person. Another thing in postmodern philosophy is reality cannot be known nor described objectively. In addition, postmodern philosophy is often particularly skeptical about simple binary oppositions, characteristics of structuralism, emphasizing the problem of the philosopher cleanly distinguishing knowledge from ignorance, social progress from reversion, dominance from submission, good from bad, and presence from absence. But for the same reasons, postmodern philosophy should often be particularly skeptical about the complex spectral characteristics of things, emphasizing emphasizing the problem of the philosopher again, cleanly distinguishing concepts, for a concept must be understood in the context of its opposite, such as existence and nothingness, normality and abnormality, speech and writing, and the like. Two other characteristics of Postmodern practices are denial that human nature exists and a sometimes moderate skepticism toward claims that science and technology will change society for the better. Postmodernists also believe these are there are rather no objective moral values. Thus, postmodern philosophy suggests equality for all things. One's concept of good and others' concept of evil are to be equally correct, since good and evil are subjective. Since both good and evil are equally rather, a postmodernist then tolerates both concepts, even if he or she disagrees with the subjectively. Postmodern writings often focus on deconstructing the role that power and ideology play in shaping discourse and belief. Postmodern philosophy shares ontological similarities with classical skeptical and relativistic belief systems and shares political similarities with modern politics.
Many postmodernists hold one or more of the following views. The first one is there is no objective reality. What is meant by objective reality? Many philosophers would use the term objective reality to refer to anything that exists as it is independent of any conscious awareness of it via perception, thought, etc. Common mid-sized physical objects presumably apply, as do persons having objective states. People assume that there is an objective, physical reality in which all of us exist, with facts that are universally true and more than just a matter of opinion. However, others argue that there is no such thing as objective reality, that everything is subjective, and that anything can be questioned or legitimately disagreed with, even facts that used to have near universal agreement. The second one is there is no scientific or historical truth. So postmodernists contend that there is no objective truth, rather truth is constructed by society. All ideas of morality are not real but constructed. Consistent with postmodern doctrine is the belief that institutions such as science and language are oppressive institutes of control. Next is science and technology and even reason and logic are not vehicles of human progress but suspect instruments of established power. So we live in postmodern times. Essentially, postmodernism proclaims that there is no absolute truth. Whatever you believe to be true is only true. Another teaching of postmodernism is that human behavior is socially determined or constructed. This all fits neatly with the current entitlement mindset of many people. Reason and logic are not universally valid. So I guess many of you here already know what is reason and logic. And it is said here that they are not universally valid. So when we say universally valid, this means something is universally believed or accepted. It is believed or accepted by everyone with no disagreement. So this is very hard to think of universally accepted ideas about the generic properties of logical truths are or should be. A widespread, perhaps universally accepted idea is the part of what should distinguish local truths from other kinds of truths. Logical truth should have a yet to be fully understood modal force. It is typically to hold in some sense or senses of good, a logical truth could not be false or alternatively, that in some sense or senses of must, a logical truth must be true. But there is a little of any agreement about how the relevant modality should be understood. Logic has nothing to do with truth, and logic is the study of the process of reason.
Good day, everyone. My name is Bridget Rizada, and today I will continue the discussion on the following views of the postmodernists. So, according to many postmodernists, there is no such thing as human nature. Human behavior and psychology are socially determined or constructed. This means that our human nature was shaped by or a product of our social interactions or socialization. Our behavior was developed because of our social forces, and human behavior is not innate from an individual. Another view is language does not refer to a reality outside itself. Many postmodernists claim that language is semantically self contained. The next one is there is no certain knowledge. Knowledge is different from certainty. According to postmodernists, it is thus possible to be in a state of knowledge without being certain, and to be certain without having knowledge. The last view is no general theory of the natural or social world can be valid or true. All are illegitimate meta-narrative. Meta-narrative is an overall worldview that helps you to understand what a particular instance means. The postmodernist view simply means that social world theories are not valid and are not real. That was all for the postmodernist view, and let's have the next reporter, please.
So again, I'm Uridia Christine, so I will be discussing the proponent of postmodern philosophy. Jean-Francois Lyotard defined philosophical postmodernism in the postmodern condition writing, simplifying to the extreme, identify postmodern as incredulity towards metanarratives, where what the means by metanarrative is something like unified, complete, universal, and epistemically certain about everything that is. Jean-Francois Lyotard, the dispute Lyotard writings are largely concerned with the role of storytelling in human culture, and particularly with the way this role has changed when we left modernity to the enter post-industrial or postmodern condition. Lyotard also has concerns about truth. However, his are much more focused on the postmodern loss of a single meta-narrative which ties together the process for attaining truth in various disciplines everyone. So, in some ways, he is documenting the decline. As a various academic disciplines diverge and create their own standards for determining if something is true. So, it is possible that those definitions could conflict. So, without a philosophical meta-narrative to connect them, we end up pluralistic worldview where claims that are true in one discipline may be false in another class. So, without an overreaching meta-narrative to evaluate and compare to the claims of different disciplines, practically, this means that science and religion, politics and morality, or art and economics talk past each other because there is no common arbiter of the truth to decide between them. So, the main center of the postmodern philosophy, everyone by Lyotard, is no objective of the truth. No objective of the truth, but also this is to simplify or extreme like something unified, complete, universal, and epistemically in a certain story. When we say meta language, it is the language teachers and learners use to talk about the English language learning and teaching. So for example, we use verb, noun, present, perfect continuous, phrasal verb, and reported speech. That's all.
Roles or aims of postmodern philosophy in education. Education should assist individuals in becoming independent, productive citizens in a system featuring multifaceted identities. So, by assisting them in affirming their commitment to organize themselves, manage their focus over time, and limit time wasting distractions. Next is education helps individuals construct their identities rather than discover them. So, education is one of the most important means to improve personal social skills. And education directly and indirectly gives us learners young people the opportunity to develop their social skills at school or in after school clubs. And learners interact with other learners or people, building their relationship with friends, teachers, and other students of different ages and cultures, and improving their skills in different environmental settings.
In this slide, education makes us used to be aware and how to consume the variety of our natural resources that sustains groups of individuals and especially to the groups of indigenous people who depends on the resources that came from forests and sea. Education inspires individuals and provides skills and ideas to excel in their chosen careers. And lastly, education teaches us how to value and respect each other's culture. In short, education makes us responsible and respectful persons.